Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to TMFIA Reviews. My name is Jonnyboy, and I'm here with my co-host.
Me, Mracc Studios.
And we watched a pretty good movie. And what are we reviewing today?
Today we are reviewing Berserk, the Egg of the King. I almost messed that up, but I did not.
I really like this. I really like the movie.
I enjoyed it.
And this was an adaptation, correct?
This was an adaptation, correct? Yeah.
All right. How about you
Of
go
the
into a little bit
manga.
of the backstory of this adaptation?
Well, this movie is an adaptation of the manga called Berserk that started. It was published, man, in 1989. But the prototype that they had was in 1988, and it's still going on today. So it's about Guts, your main character, and he's, without spoiling it, he's pretty much a mercenary, at least in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then he joins this mercenary group. I won't go in too much detail, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Are we doing a review with spoilers or without?
Mm, let's just do it with it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Well, here at the
'Cause
beginning,
it's
we
like-
try to do it without the spoilers, like kind of talk about it for a little bit. But the spoilers will come later. Don't worry. Or we'll go.
Because there's
into
so
the
many.
film.
It's like so known already.
Mhm.
You just might as well talk about it.
So this movie is really good. I was really surprised by the voice acting was pretty good. The story was good. It kept me involved with it. And there weren't a lot of times where it kept me wondering, like, what is going on, which is really good to understand it. I'm not a huge fan of movies with subtitles, but
Understandable.
that night I watched it, I went on and I watched Che Part 1 and Part 2. That took 4 hours, so I went through. I had a subtitles night. I got my reading done.
Yeah.
Che's amazing, by the way. So this movie is really good. I was surprised by it because he's been kind of obsessing over Guts because he's a huge nerd for a while.
I like Berserk. Yeah.
Berserk, it looks like a very interesting manga. He's sent me many screenshots before and soundtracks. Not the most appropriate screenshots ever.
No. The great thing about the series is what you don't realize is with the Golden Age art that it's so put on character development with humans. What you don't realize is when you watch the anime and then the movies and you don't really know anything else and then you read the manga, you don't realize how much of a fantasy thing it is. And I don't think you really know either.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. From where I'm standing, I thought this was a good movie, and I had no problems with it. But from you're standing, it's not your first impression. You have many other representations to base it off of and whatnot, and see how accurate it is,
Yeah.
which I don't. But do you want to go into the similarities or differences between that and the manga itself, or is there
Well,
just too many?
the thing about the manga is that movie's really nothing compared to it.
Yeah,
'cause
because how many issues were
what it-
there? Almost.
What was it,
80
like
or-
10 to 94 or
Yeah,
something like that?
that's a large amount of.
And not even the series that came out in 97 did it a bit better, but
Mhm.
there was still too much. They cut out characters,
Mhm.
quite a few, and they took out some of the graphic stuff for reasons, as you can imagine why.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to a certain scene where he loses his manhood, or gains that, I suppose. You can look at it from either side of the grass.
It's how do it's really short.
Yeah, I was expecting it to go on for a little bit, right when things were kind of getting good, and because they did like a really good foreshadowing the split that was eventually going to happen between the two, but it didn't happen during that
No.
which is good.
Yeah.
But it made me very excited to watch the
It's-
second one.
It's it's an introduction thing.
I thought it was a good introduction. From watching it,
And Attack on Titan did a compilation thing too, where they compiled some stuff from the anime
Mm-hmm.
and with better animation and stuff, and made it into like 2 movies for new people and for money.
Yeah, and for money. Yeah, this was really good. I loved it. I loved the violence. At times there was the 2D art or the 2D,
Yeah, the hand drawn,
the hand drawn parts of the film.
and then there was this, which was very nice.
Yeah,
I
it
like
was
those
good.
parts. And
And
then
then
there's the CGI.
yeah, at certain shots, I felt it was necessary to kind of make it a CGI for some reason, which I don't know
I
if
don't
it
think
really took
if I'm-
away from the movie too much, but you could just definitely tell, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. From
It
those,
was
yeah.
pretty jarring, in my opinion.
When I first watched it, it hurt my eyes.
It didn't hurt my eyes, but it was weird.
Yeah, and it was just like kind of like so just out there and not didn't feel natural with the movie with the 2D shots, but
Yeah.
it just felt so kind of like misplaced and out of place that you couldn't stop like kind of thinking about it, like why is that there? Why is
Before
this
we go on,
weird?
I want to mention that this is the first film in a trilogy of 3 movies
Yeah.
that came out.
Are the other two on Netflix?
No, I sent you that link. They're not on Netflix,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah.
I sent you that link to the thing where there's the other 2. Hey, if you want to watch it, you can go to a pirate site, which I don't recommend, but
Yeah, I don't like going to those.
but
I like
you got to do.
sometimes I like giving money to the right kind of source.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Where were we at? The CGI or something?
Yeah, we're talking about the CGI and the 3D parts, where we're kind of like you said, jarring and really didn't feel natural.
They get better. Like I said, I think I told you this.
They get better throughout the trilogy.
Yeah, but they get better out throughout the movies, which is good.
So, should we talk about the characters a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I want to hear your interpretation.
All right, I'm gonna.
I know you told me to kind of lead this, but I like to hear your thoughts.
All right, I'm gonna put the lowdown of what I gathered. So there may be some spoilers included, but nothing too major, I think. So you get Guts here, who has had a really hard life, and he's gotten to the point where he's been basically fight or flight mode, where he's surviving. He's being really selfish. He has no one to love. He has no one to care for but himself, and he's proving himself to just about everyone, I suppose. But I don't really think he like it seems like he's trying to prove himself to just about anyone or everyone watching. So he's doing some death-defying kind of acts of either heroism or just like, why are you doing this alone and fighting this giant monster alone? Like, it's just because, as if he wants like glory, but I don't think he is much of a character who needs glory or follows too much of a code, you know?
I think I'm gonna go with what Griffith told him.
Yeah,
What
I was trying to stay away from that, but that is the exact same thing as what the description that Griffith gave him. I was trying to stay away from that exact quote.
I'm gonna give what Griffith tried to say of he's trying to find himself by
Constantly pushing his limits.
Like I don't know how to explain it for this one, but he changes throughout the movies, but this one he's kind of at least in the beginning he's kind of selfish, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I would say
he
he's
pushes
selfish.
people away for reasons
Tries to
that you can
distance himself.
figure out for past events.
Yeah. He was a really interesting character. I like the contrast between him and Griffith. Is that Guts seemed very calm and collected, like on the outside at times, but like on the inside, he was obviously like a raging character, like Raging Guts, I'm sure as his name is. Like
Griffith is the complete opposite.
Oh
of
yeah,
Guts.
he's so.
Guts is this 6'3",
He likes to use
absurdly muscular
guy
with a huge sword that fights in a barbaric way.
Yeah, it's definitely a styles clash between the two, which definitely enhances and brings light to their strengths and weaknesses to the film.
Guts Guts is 18, but he looks like he's in his 30s almost.
And
And
Griffith,
then there's Griffith.
who looks
He's
very feminine. Just saying.
yes, so feminine to the point where even in the comic books, the manga, they've said that. But to the point, he's so feminine looking, he doesn't look like a girl. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he looked not like a girl, but not like a guy.
Yeah, it's kind of in betweener there, but he uses like he doesn't use a giant like strong looking sword. He uses I don't want to say
Like
weak, but a smaller
a saber or rapier.
yeah, something of that sort because which is
He's more collected.
yeah, definitely more calm and collected. He calculates his hits and has a game plan definitely when he heads into battle, and he obviously is always thinking about it. And Guts is more of a character who would run in there and just use strong attack after strong attack after strong attack, just trial and error on his opponent, which really wouldn't work out. Like if you think about it, because eventually trial and error would lead to your death, which is something he definitely realizes. Yeah, I definitely like probably my favorite thing about the movie was just the constant contrast and the comparison between Guts and Griffith. Which, yeah, the characters were one of the best things about the movie. It said the second best were the violent and graphic battles he's had with people. I know that's why I said I'm mainly wanting to get into it, is because I'm a brute who likes violence a lot. And that's what...
You look at the manga and you look at all the panels, and it's like a dude bro violent thing, but it has a story.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Kind of almost as if like I don't want to say immature, but I think the word describes like an immature amount of violence, but a very mature amount of story.
When I first got into the series, I don't like big swords. I think they look goofy. But there's something about the series that makes the big goofy sword that Guts has cool in some way.
You can crack battle axes.
Because I don't like Cloud Sword, whatever you call it. They call it something else, don't they? In Final Fantasy. But his huge sword.
Yeah.
I just think big weapons look goofy, but
yeah, I
like his sword.
agree. It looks like not like probable weapon to use. Like, come on. Like, what amount of defense is that really going to give you? Not a lot.
Yeah.
But Deadliest Warrior with Mracc and John.
But it's cool.
Yeah, he definitely.
I like it.
It's definitely cool. Like at the one point, like I had the same thought. Like it kind of looks goofy, and it's like not a lot of huge amount of defense. But at one point where he gets shot with a crossbow, I think, but he's centering the blade in his face, and he's defending with it, like defending himself with the blade very well. I think that part of the movie. Is there a point in the movie where he kind of blocks a crossbow shot with it?
I think so. I know, and I don't think you've seen the Dragon Slayer yet.
No, I haven't seen the other
sword after the Golden Arc, which is what they've described rightfully so, a raw heap of iron.
So they definitely like I think the weapon fits his personality perfectly. You know. Because I don't think he's making a lot of calculated hits with that. He's just like, well, this is big, and it's going to hurt you because I use a lot of force behind it.
You see it more in the manga, but that's not really how it is. On the outside he is, but he calculates the stuff.
Right.
Which you can see in the manga. He has more weapons and stuff.
He just seems reckless in the movie. There.
Yeah. At least in the beginning.
So should we, I guess, dive into the movie now and take it through it?
There's a few more characters, but I guess those are
we can go into them if you want.
Central. I don't think they did the Band of Hawk justice. Is what Griffith's mercenary group is called.
Right.
At least in this movie.
The characters seem very minor to me, except for one, which they didn't give that much screen time, but she definitely had conflicted thoughts of Guts at times.
Yeah. Yeah, they're better. Well, I mean, this is just the first movie. You don't get all of the development, but It wasn't the greatest for the minor characters.
Right. I
Um,
understood. Only thing I really got from them is that they were not a lot of. They weren't as heroic, I guess, as the other characters, or brave, like maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, that's the only
Perhaps.
kind of thing I got.
Um, I don't know if you want to get a full picture, probably just watch the other two ones.
Hmm.
I guess
Yeah,
this is just reviewing like the first one
yeah, we're on the
of
first
in terms of
movie.
everything.
Yeah,
But I think the only other character in terms of development was Casca, the female character.
the okay, yeah, that girl, Casca.
Yeah,
Okay, I really don't remember a lot of the character names. Sorry.
yeah. Anyways, we can dive into the thing now.
Okay,
The story.
the movie opens up with pretty much a giant battle attacking a castle. You see some awesome looking medieval shit going down, and it was awesome. You got some fucking great looking violence, and you see these giant towers that were being pushed and pulled towards the castle walls. And I was curious, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What is going on here? There's just arrows flying. There's fucking, god damn it, trebuchets is what they're called. Catapults, pretty much.
Trebuchets.
What
Okay. No, just catapults.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't remember. I was trying to be smart there for a minute, but I couldn't remember what the fuck it was called. Thank you, Civilization Revolution, for me getting those names. But it was a really awesome full-scale battle going on here, and you can notice that the different some of the units on the outside of the castle had different types of armor and different gear, which was weird for an army. And then you come to realize later that it's a band of different mercenaries, just just groups of mercenaries, I guess, pretty much hired to go attack this castle. And the towers come closer and closer to the castle walls, and then they drop down the giant doorway, and it just slams across, makes bridges, and then just soldiers are just rolling out of there, just attacking on top of the castle wall with the opposing forces. And then there's Guts, who just bumps past everybody, and then he starts jumping on the enemy's heads, traveling, just making his way downtown, just traveling by jumping on the head, jumping on to the next head. It was just interesting, I'd
Walking
say.
fast. Walking past faces fast.
And then and I say in the courtyard of the castle that there's this big man.
Azusa!
Yeah, Bazuzo. Say it
The
again.
30-man slayer. Bazuso.
Some say
30-man
he's
slayer.
killed over 30 men. And no one wanted to face this guy. They were just in a dead stop of battling because they're like, the fuck? I'm not facing this guy. And then general on the from the mercenary side, probably a general of the people that hired all the mercenaries, he's just kind of like, fight him. What are you doing, you idiots? And like, well, you're not really in charge of us, but I'm not gonna fight him.
If I'm correct, those weren't mercenaries.
Oh, they weren't mercenaries?
No, there's like 100. All right, here's the thing. The backstory. There's a war between Midland and I don't know how you pronounce the other one, Tudor.
Mm-hmm.
That's been going on for like 100 years. And so, anyways, Midlands hires mercenaries to do it. So there might have been. I forgot. I haven't watched this in a while.
Okay, but it's. I think the thing was maybe the general was from Midland, perhaps Army.
The red ones are Midland.
Yeah. Okay, but he's telling him like, fight him. What are you doing? And Bazuzo's like, no one's gonna fight me. And then in a dead silence, you just can hear this and just see Guts slowly walk towards this ginormous figure of a man with this just brutal looking battle axe, just slowly walking towards him, all maniacal looking, just looking awesome and badass. And he says, I'll fight you.
Mind you being 15 at the time.
Wow. Yeah, 15-year-old. Everyone's like, this kid cannot last a second. And he's like, oh wow, he's like got this giant sword. Like, how is this 15-year-old gonna lift up this giant two-handed sword he has? And Bazuzo gets his battle axe prepared, and he says, okay, kid, I'm gonna fucking destroy you. And Guts, and they duke it out a little bit, and he eventually, test of strength, Guts beats Bazuzo, and he eventually destroys his battle axe, but in a very close call, he destroys, not destroys Guts' helmet, he knocks it off of him, it seems, but he breaks his battle axe in the process, and then from that, he just kind of, Guts opens up Bazuzo, and there's Bazuzo's guts all over the floor, and defeats the big man, and everyone's baffled by this, and in the distance, you can see, the Hawk,
The Band of the Hawks.
the band of the Hawks. You can see looking down at Guts, impressed, but they don't want to admit it, and they say that,
One
well,
interesting thing is
go ahead.
the series inspired Dark Souls a bit.
I got that
There's some
vibe.
stuff. There's some stuff in Dark Souls that was inspired from
Yeah.
the series.
How there's a giant enemy and there's a small little 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Definitely got that feeling. And the Band of the Hawks.
15-year-old in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's me. The Band of the Hawks, they would look down on Guts and they were like, well, if we would have gotten here earlier, that would have been us there, obviously. And then kind of fast forward a little bit after the battle, and all the soldiers are getting their pay, and the guy handing out the pay, and the general's like, well, why don't you become full-time at the army? I'll make your pay quite a bit. And he says, I'll give you this small rank, because he's technically a peasant. He was born from nobody, which means in this caste system means you can't really become anything if your parents were nothing. That's the sad state that the world was in. And he just walked away from the offer which would be amazing if in anyone's kind of shoes, especially his, like where they kind of don't have a lot, but only thing they really have is what they got in their back. And he said, screw you, and no, he didn't really say anything. He just walked away, and with his giant axe and his pay, which he got paid more than the normal person because he took out Bazuzo.
His giant sword, you mean?
No, what did I say? His giant axe.
Axe, yeah.
Yeah, just giant.
Anyways,
sword, so.
fast forward a bit. He's walking around, and then
The Bane of
whatever
Hawks
it was.
attack him,
yeah,
and then
and he
kills like 3
wins.
people.
Yeah,
And
then Griffith comes in.
No, the Casca
Casca.
comes
She comes in.
and he was about to
He
kill
almost
her.
gets killed, and then Griffith comes in, and they fight
Wounds him.
for a bit.
Yep,
Guts
definitely wounds
loses.
him. And then days later, Guts wakes up and he's in a tent with Casca, the woman he almost murdered, and she has no clothes, and she walks out very angrily. And he's like, "Ow! Like, where am I?" And she punches him right in his stab wound where Griffith wounded him in, and he starts bleeding from the wound from the bandages, which was nice attention of detail. And he walks out, and they're like, blah blah blah. Griffith's gonna want to talk to you, and he has a conversation with Griffith, right? Am I skipping over anything? Oh well,
we're gonna have to kind of just skip to the important parts to
Okay.
not keep this up.
Well,
Anyways,
go ahead.
so Guts is mad, and then they duel it out, and he almost wins, but then he loses.
Yep, his strength was about to overcome Griffith, but Griffith was too fast and used his agile parkour and spun around and his speed and defeated Guts.
Who is now owned, pretty much.
Yes, I
by
own
Griffith.
you.
Way. Yeah,
Not in that kind of way, though.
not in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Fast forward 3 years later, he's
He's
like 18 now.
Yep, he hit the big 1-8. What happened next? So they're at almost a cohesive unit. People are still getting used to Guts' reckless tactics, and they obviously still have a problem with it. And do you want to? Where could we? Who did they
So there's
start
some-
working for towards the end? Like the daughter? Like was that Midland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so they they do all their stuff. They fight. There's some character development.
Yeah, they
Well-
just some random battles. And there's some tension between Casca and Guts still, and Griffith is trying to keep the peace at the same time.
And then what is it? The immortal Zod? I forgot his name. I think it's Zod.
Yeah.
The big demon guy.
Okay.
Anyway, so they get to that.
They're pretty much hired by Midland still. They gotta look like they got a big contract with them for a while, like a good looking gig. And there's this giant temple, and Guts is about to enter it, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I need to go in there. I need to go kill things. And he's like, okay, well, let me go get Griffith and the rest of your crew. And he says, no, go get Griffith, and I'll fucking kill you. Duh. So he's like, alright, he wants to do this by himself. Goes in there. There's dead bodies absolutely everywhere, and he's like, who killed all these men? And then you see a dastardly-looking villain with no clothes on. He is very tall, very strong-looking, and he calls himself Zod, and then it cuts back over to the soldiers from Midland. They're just talking about Zod, and like, oh yeah, he is over 200 years old, and he's been fighting battles forever, and no one has stopped him. And then Griffith and him start duking it out, and Zod is impressed by, or god damn it, yeah, Guts and Zod start fighting it out. Thank you. Guts and Griffith, Guts and Zod start fighting, and then Zod is impressed by his durability of this human being, which is anyone would be, because this guy is over 200 years old. He's about like 15 feet tall almost.
Yeah, it's pretty tall.
Big individual, and he nearly gets killed until Griffith makes a save, and then they're double teaming him for a little bit, and then Griffith gets.
They lose.
Yeah, they pretty much lose, and Zod's about to kill Griffith,
and then he sees a little necklace on Griffith,
little pendant,
to which he, I don't know.
We also forgot to mention that Zod made a transformation into a giant beast looking because Guts wounded him quite a bit.
So he backs off.
Mm-hmm. He's like,
and he gives Guts a warning about his friend.
They're
pretty much
you and your friends.
To sum it up, saying that he's going to use them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. He said, yo, if you were smart, you'd get away from this Griffith guy because he's a bad person. He's going to use you and abuse you, and he's not really your friend. And Guts is like, I don't believe you. Go, or I'll kill you. And then he flies off.
We're actually like really to the end of the movie almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, so this is where an important part comes up for later. So, flash forward, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. And then Guts is training a little bit because he was wounded in the battle with Zod, and then here comes up Griffith, wounded on his little leg there, and he's like, hey man, what's that thing around your neck? And shows it to him, and some eyes and some noses pop out randomly, and then it scares him, and the Griffith just laughs. This didn't make a lot of sense to me. Could you explain? Or is that normal?
That's called a bailet. I believe that's how you pronounce it. A bailet. Yes, they sort of are alive. I can't really explain what it is without spoiling the future. But anyways, that's one fine.
He says
proclaims that if he has it, he will be a king.
Yes, and it's called the Egg of the King, pretty much. And he says, where'd you get it? He's like, oh, when I was a little boy, I got it from a vendor. Mm-hmm. And then walking down the steps, Midland guards and king and brother of king and daughter. And they're like, yo, good shit. And then Guts is persistent or reluctant to get down on his knee. And then the king's like, oh, okay, whatever. We'll just skip all these formalities. And then the brother of the king's looking at them, and he doesn't like these peasants on his property and being so sociable with the king. Yeah, he's like, you're below me.
Yeah.
How were you not born into this whatever system? Fuck. What happened next?
Ew, gross.
That's exactly his expression.
Griffith takes a liking to the daughter, which isn't a good thing.
He's like,
anyways, flash forward.
And she's all like, please don't touch me. And she about falls because she's clumsy as fuck. And he picks her up and he's like, yo, what up, babe? And then King comes by and slaps Griffith's face. Says, don't touch the daughter. Or the king's brother comes and just slaps Griffith. Don't touch the daughter. And then Guts is like, don't fuck my friend up, son. And he has to hold him back. And yeah.
And then flash forward again a few days later.
And so they're hunting with the brother.
Griffith is being all smooth, putting a leaf on his mouth, making it do sounds.
So the Hawk,
the daughter's horse takes off.
the band of the Hawks are on security duty for
Yes.
the king's brother and daughter, as they're just hanging out and kind of supposedly hunting. And then Griffith rolls up to the daughter and he's like, "Yo, what up, girl? I can put this leaf on my mouth and make weird noise." And she's like, "How do you do that?" And he's like this, babe. And he does the noise again, and she's just fucking soaked, dude. And then the horse just takes off. Crazy. And she doesn't know how to ride a horse. So it's just taken off. And then he just runs.
Griffith being smooth again.
Yeah.
Catches her.
Yep.
And then he gets shot in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Or the chest. And he pulls it out and he finds there's poison.
Ooh.
That only a noble family could afford.
Yeah, very,
and he thinks he knows who it is.
He realizes the only way I could love this woman is if that damn dirty brother of the damn dirty uncle was dead. So obviously it was the king's brother,
The noble, yeah,
who ordered the hit on Griffith, which did not work. And Casca was flipping shit out. She was like, "Oh my God, Griffith's dead. This is all your fault," something like that. And then Griffith's like, "Hey Guts, I'm gonna need you to do something for me. I'm gonna need a favor." He's like, "All right, what is it?" It's like, "I need you to go fucking murder that uncle." He says,
So he does.
Yep, murders the shit out of him, and then
murders his son on accident.
Yeah, on accident, murders his son. Very sad moment.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. Yeah, and then he murders a whole bunch more people, trying to make his exit. And I was thinking, this is fucking crazy. Why didn't he just, like, walk in, murder everyone, and the son, and, like, I don't know, like, he couldn't have went out the window the way he came in, I think? Or, like, was it murdering all the guards that necessary?
Well, because they came in through the hallways both ways.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, let's just go ahead and do this.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'll murder all of you. And then they're fine. And
anyways, to make it short, Griffith, I forgot what he talks about.
Yeah, Griffith is in the courtyard, an empty courtyard with the girl, and they're talking a little bit, and Casca and Guts are about to walk in, and she's like, "Don't walk in on them," and so they're just kind of listening for a little bit. And then Griffith explains that that his friends, or the band of the Hawks, aren't really his friends, they're his soldiers. He's in charge, he's the leader, and he pretty much makes it clear and puts himself high up on a pedestal and says, "Everyone is below me, that they're not really even my friends, they're just like nobodies to me, because I'm going to be a king someday," and shows his little bit true self there, that he's a big of an egomaniac. And Guts is very offended by this. He's very saddened that his friend would say this behind his back.
And then boom, movie ends, credits, boom, roll. Watch part 2 next year. Hey!
So, I like the movie a lot. I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
I would give it probably a 5 or a 6.
Oh, as in relation to the manga?
Yeah, I guess.
As an accurate representation? Go ahead, what's the thing?
I felt like the pacing was off.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have realized that too.
Mm-hmm. Towards the end, it definitely felt like slowing down.
I thought the pacing was off. I liked the voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the hands-on animation. I didn't like the... I'd probably give it a 6 or a 7.
Alright, but what about as a movie by itself without... if you could try to... Could you
if I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Then I think it'd be a good introduction to the series.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't see anything else, I don't think it'd be a bad movie.
Do you think my mind is tainted now because I saw it first?
No.
Okay.
No.
So there is hope for me getting into the series.
I think your mind would be tainted if you read the manga first.
Oh, so is that what happened to you?
Kind of, I guess.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to take a look at the other manga, and I'll have to talk about it maybe next, or in some relation to this. But thank you guys for watching so much review of Berserk, the Egg of the King. And I have a Twitter. You can check me out.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, it was very good. You should go watch it on Netflix. It's a very fun movie. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Mracc, you know it's on Netflix?
I did not know that. Hey,
okay, it's not on Twitter.
You know what?
Though,
I just remembered something. It's on Netflix.
You know what is on Twitter though? Not Berserk, but I am at 97 Jonnyboy, and so is Mracc. His Twitter handle is.
Guess what it is? It's Mracc Studios.
It's at Mracc Studios, yes. And both of our channels are in the description. You should totally check that out. I have loads of gaming content going up, and Mracc has all kinds of stuff going up. He's got some music, he's got a little bit of reviews, he's dibbling and dabbling in new stuff all the time, so definitely check it out. If you like some gaming, that's a great place to go. And yeah, go ahead, leave your comment, and if you've checked out the movie, you should go check it out. It's really good.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for watching. Goodbye!